Very early on in our approach to this, we were notified by one of our shop stewards that one of the workers on his site was working in the scaffolding crew as a scaffold hand. So he had to be supervised, and he'd been sent by the boss to many TAFE courses and had not been able to pass the exam. So they asked us if we could come down and help. And it took us quite a long time for us to work with this person to get his skills to the level where he could independently pass that scaffolding exam. And it was about the English second language, that English was his second language. It was about the literacy skills. It was about the language. And yet he was a top-notch scaffolder. But he couldn't work as a scaffolder without having the licence. So it took, as I say, about 6 months for him to get to pass the exam with lots of one-to-one help. But he also did lots of other courses that were integrated language and literacy courses. So he did basic health and safety courses that started developing his skills and his confidence in being able to read and write. And one of the fundamentals of it, and one of the things that I think was so successful, was that we started with the stuff he knew. You know, so he was achieving all the time. The whole time he was achieving. He might not have been able to write to the level that, you know, was his ultimate aim, but he was achieving the whole way through. And by the time he got to do the test and was able to do that, he passed with flying colours. I mean, there's just no problem. And then went on to do intermediate and advanced scaffolding. So he benefited from that because that meant his employment was much more secure.
This guy came in as an electrician. He was really not sure about coming to the training program. You know, he didn't understand why he had to be there. He was really sort of reluctant, and then over the couple of days he really relaxed and sort of grasped the idea of workplace health and safety and how important it was to him and the business and the family and the community, and he really sort of got it. And then about a month later, I was back to that site to work with another group, and he walked past and came in and said, "I'm going to law school." And I said, "What?" And he said, you just made me realise that I can do things, I can help people. And yeah, I've enrolled, I'm going to law school, I start next week. And I thought, wow. And before that, he was like, I could never go to school, you know, so he had his lights turned on. Yeah, it was quite amazing. That's probably the most mind-blowing experience I've had.
Her basic job was she was making chocolate, Easter eggs, blah, 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 whatever. I reckon she was probably in her 30s. She had left school very, very early and had spent most of her time working in sort of fairly low-level work, machine operator and so on. But she was really, really bright. So she came along to me with the express intention of improving her writing skills. And during the course of that training with her, I got to know her reasonably well, and we talked about things that she might want to do, to aspire to, and people do have aspirations, and she had a real interest in OHS sort of issues. I sort of worked that out with her. And I said, well, over a period of time, I said, why don't you apply, put yourself down, nominate yourself for OHS committees and stuff like that. And she was a bit reluctant, and eventually she said, okay, I'll do it. She got elected, she became an OHS rep. I finished my training, but then she kept in touch with me for a little while, and she wrote me an email rather, and said, look, I'm doing some extra OHS training. You know, so all she needed was sort of a bit of a kick along, basically, and that's what training provided for her.